that's really cool. So speaking of which, our next guest used to sort of be your manager, not exactly over your department, but
I know him very
kind of
well. We work very close together.
So that's right. So our next guest is Joel Knapp. I've worked for and with him, and now he runs the company with me. So let's see if we can get Joel in here too.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
We're hearing reverberation.
Yeah, we got some echoes going on over here.
Joel, you don't need to shut the door.
Let me see.
I told you, Murphy's Law. What did I tell you, Catherine? I told you. Guys, we're going to have Murphy's Law. You're doing this for people from all over the world. You know, hey, look, we're going to have some echo here and there, some choppiness. All good.
Hello, is that any better?
I think so. I think we're good.
Okay.
But Catherine, I think you're muted. Catherine, are you there? Joel, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, what's going on?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing good. I'm not sure where Catherine went, but I think she muted herself because there was some echo. But there she is.
What's going on?
Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law. We discussed that earlier. Murphy's Law. So I'm really excited. Joel's fantastic. I have worked with him in every sort of capacity. He worked, I guess, kind of under me. I was the lead when he did work with me at Maximum Sport, the previous travel partner to the Dallas Cowboys. I've been his employee so many times, I don't even know how many, why he'd worked for him. And now we run Titan Management together, and he's come on board there. So I want to kind of start though with his career evolution, because he's had a fascinating one. So Joel, can you tell us a little bit about how you've evolved to where you are today?
Okay. Well, yeah, it was kind of a winding road. In my early 20s, I was doing bill collections for Citibank. I did that for about 4 years. Also, while I was in college, because the schedules are flexible. But I moved from there, like I said, after about 4 or 5 years, to kind of attacking debt from the other side. Working for consumers instead, to basically against their lenders, to negotiate lower balances so that they could actually pay off their debt. From there, I was able to work for a number of really good small companies that not only were looking out for their consumers, but allowed me to wear a lot of different hats. And that's something I always had wanted to do anyway. So I was able to work in a negotiation department and a customer service department. I was able to work in sales. I'm probably leaving something out, data entry. And I was able to work in these departments, sometimes supervise them or manage them.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
You were managing, you were growing these departments, and you did. I remember at Credit Answers, you took a department from the ground up, and then some things kind of went crazy there, and the company, some things happened in that industry and all that, and then you ended up with another settlement company. Can you tell us how you came to be with them? That's kind of a fun. I mean, in terms of how you got recruited, it was an unusual recruiting method.
Yeah, I don't even remember. It was a guy by the name of Scott that got a hold of me. I don't even remember how we got each other's information, to be honest with you, but we had some very, very energetic phone conversations about his vision, what he wanted to do.
Right.
And he essentially recruited me, brought me on with no job title whatsoever. And
right.
We got along, I think, because we both liked that idea so much. Instead of being restricted by a title, just go in, and anytime you see something that needs to be fixed or can be better, or there's anything that needs to be done, just go ahead and do it. It was a very empowering position. It was very freeing, and it was exciting, and it probably led to the rest of what I've done in my career.
Right. And so some tragedy happened, and there were some problems in that industry that caused that particular company to have to close down. Very sadly, I remember that day. But what happened after that? So then you did something really unexpected right after that.
Yeah, the industry crashed due to some government regulation, and obviously this isn't a political show, so we're not going to get too much into that. But the entire industry get away. So everything I built, my name, my reputation, my entire career, my contacts, was all worthless in an instant. But instead of panicking, well, maybe right after panicking, not panicking very long, I came up with the idea to go to a moving company. It's completely different. It's manual labor instead of something financial. But I was able to take all those skills that I had acquired and apply them in a new way. And really, I guess for me, it was more of the same. I was just putting on a different hat, and that's something I had already been doing for the last 6 or 7 years.
Well, Joel, that's what we were talking about earlier, which is grit, right? I mean, you got shut down, but you had grit, and you've done it before, right?
Absolutely.
So it had to have been a kick in the gonads, but at the same time, you've done it before. You probably had confidence that, you know what, I've done it once, I can do it again, right?
That's a really good way to put it, and that's 100% true.
Yeah. So they then so you got in there, and tell me about what happened then. I mean, you had sort of an interesting experience there. They moved you around a bit. They used you in some different capacities. How did that go?
Well, once again, we kind of created a position that ended up they're still using it to this day, which I'm flattered by. We kind of created a dispatch management position, or I think they changed the name of it to move manager now. And basically, what it's one person sitting in a central location that actually serves 5 or 6 locations throughout the city. And basically what they will do is address any problems that come across for any of the, say, 40 or 50 moves that they have going on at any time. Maybe a furniture breaks, maybe a truck breaks down, maybe a guy gets injured, whatever. That dispatch management position kind of runs point for however that issue is going to be fixed.
And I think that's fascinating. And the fact that multiple times you were part of creating a position, because you did it at Credit Answers, you did it with AFC, you did it there, and we'll talk about in a minute how you've done it yet again. It's that idea, don't let your resume define you, and be open to creativity and bringing your unique perspective into a situation, and helping wherever you see a problem. If you see a problem, step up, raise your hand. If you have an idea for a solution, be part of it, because you never know where that's going to take your career.
Well, I think also you want to jump in, and you want to learn the job above you if that's applicable, learn the job below you if that's applicable, and learn the jobs horizontally if you possibly can. But you need to be vocal about that. You can't just sit on your hands and expect your manager or whoever to offer that to you. You've got to be vocal about it, and you might have to be vocal about it several times. You might have to bug people to do it.
I love that. I love that you said that. You gotta ask, right? If you don't ask, you won't receive, and you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So you got to take a shot, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
What happens if you ask and you ask and you ask and you ask, but you keep getting shut down? What then?
I think if you're being stifled like that, you might just be in the wrong environment. You can't. If you have creativity inside you that is completely being shut down, if you're surrounded by wet blankets, you might think that your job is safe, it's secure, it's a good paycheck, and all these other things that we tell ourselves that are to stay in our comfort zone. Look, I'm not knocking that, but at some point it can actually hurt your career.
Yeah. Oh, that's what happened to me. So when I was in the auto industry, I asked and they weren't hearing it, and so I started to become that disgruntled employee. Right. I started to my mindset shift, my attitude shift, my grind shifted, everything shifted, and I was like, woke up one day and I'm like, I don't enjoy this anymore. I don't like it. I don't, and so. Totally. I think if that's happening to you, if you start recognizing that, and if you become aware, which is the first step, I think it's time to make some steps, to get out.
100%.
Absolutely.
And
it
what's
doesn't mean
interesting is,
it doesn't mean you need to walk out that day, but like you said, start taking some steps. If you or do. I mean, if you want to be,
too, let's not pretend it didn't.
No, I didn't just walk out. I planned it, right? And
no, not you, him. No. Joel has a funny story. We're not going to tell that story because it will encourage people to do crazy things. But it worked well for him.
It happened to work out, but it's not advice.
You said, "Pete, I'm out."
So he did some interesting maneuvers. So, so you had this great career going at 2 Men in a Truck. Don't mind. And shout out to them. They're a great company, although they're in the
100%.
Dallas area. Gray Wolf Moving now has one of the top guys that used to be at 2 Men in a Truck, and they're great too. But so both phenomenal. So you have this great career going. What happened unexpectedly?
Well, so then I don't know. A couple of years into that, Scott called me again. So that's a recurring theme. He called me again. He was starting a new company, basically doing the same thing that we were doing before with credit cards, but this time with student loan debt. So we did that. Really worked out. I kind of was able to take on the same kind of role that I did before. I don't even remember what my title was. We actually gave me one this time, but it's not really that important, because I managed customer service. I was a system admin. I also helped manage the sales department. And I'm probably leaving out a couple other things. The only thing I'm not good at is making coffee.
I think too, one of the, so you went through that, you had that again, so you had another evolution, and then I called you up and I said, hey, I'm running a recruiting company. I didn't call you up, I talked to you and I said, hey, I'm running a recruiting company and I need you to come on. So, and just so that everybody knows, so what I did is I just he goes, well, what do you want me to do? And I said, everything. and so he's done, but he does CFO jobs, he does COO, he has hooked me up here today with all of this lovely technology and takes care of this. He's literally stepped in and done everything. So what's that career evolution been like for you?
This has probably been one of my favorite ones. Probably my favorite one, because I mean everything that we do basically determines whether we live or die, and almost on a daily basis. I love that kind of pressure, and there's no one to rely on. I actually love that, and it kind of takes all the things that I had been learning over the last decade and a half, and applying it with a little more urgency than I had before. Before, I wore all the hats, but I had a reliable paycheck from a larger company that wasn't going anywhere. If I made a mistake here and there, I was okay. But this is a new kind of pressure, and I really thrive on it. I like it.
Awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. That's great. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So what's your big advice to people that want to evolve their career and don't want to let their resume define them? What's your advice to them?
Kind of like we touched on before. Bug your supervisors if you need to learn the job, learn the job above you, learn the job below you if it's applicable. Learn the jobs horizontal. In some workplaces, you can do that without asking. One of my mentors, Harvey Lasasso, once told me that it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. So do some of that.
I do that a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, a lot of successful people do. You know, I think you have to. The road to success is paved with mistakes.
Oh man, you're telling me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And we had a question, and I'm going to let you address it, Joel, before we bring on our next presenter. It says, nervous about the future, but excited at the same time. How can we best use this nervous energy to help our career evolution?
Oh boy.
What would you say?
For me, nervousness really brings out my creativity. But I don't know if everybody's the same way. But if it does, if you have those creative thoughts, write them down, and the ones that you can follow through on, do it.
Right. And I would say too, you know, when you're feeling that nervous energy and you're feeling twitchy, people and network, you know, move that.